Hey there, heroes. It's Emmett. It's been a long time. I've been concentrating on the business. I've been trying to be pretty regular on Tales from the Flip Side. And, it's been really hard. I'm sorry I haven't been around for this channel because, I've been doing it for a little over 4 years now. Not huge success, but I enjoy doing it. So we're going to keep it up and hopefully I can be more regular. I'm thinking about doing some live streams here soon too. And listen, 21 months and I retire, and then all I'm gonna have to do is have time to be on here with you. But I'll also be concentrating a lot on the business. I probably should be doing something else for the business right now than being on here, but you know what? Sometimes you need to do what's good for the head. So, more hot takes. I had 2 videos on how much I can't stand DC and what they've done to my love for their characters, with just bad writing. It has nothing to do with new characters or changing characters. It's just the story has to be good. It has to be engaging. It has to have stakes, and it hasn't. So I've said enough about that, and I'm going to be off on a tangent if I don't. This show is going to be about why not Whatnut. So I call them Whatnut because a lot of people are making a nut on it, making some real bank, and some people are losing their shirts. And everybody says, "Oh, well, that's business. Some people succeed, and some people don't." Level playing field, yeah, that is absolutely 100%, but I don't feel it's a level playing field. And the reason why, there's a few reasons why I didn't join up. And everybody says, "Oh, well, they didn't come to you and ask you." No, they didn't. But they did have, back when it was first coming up, it was pretty easy to sign up and start selling. Before they even had comics, I have Pops. I could have sold Pops. I could have sold a lot of other stuff on there. I don't like their business model. Their business model seems to be build and pump and then sell the business to a bigger company. And then the founders take the big profits and leave. And then, then everybody's left holding the bag on these things that they're getting that they may not be getting in the future. I don't have direct knowledge of this, but there is a lot of whispers that people have been paid to run a channel on Whatnot. There's a lot of different ways to pay people. You don't have to pay them to actually have a Whatnot show, but you can pay them to appear at a Comic-Con and run their show from the Comic-Con. That's an appearance fee. That's not a paid to be on the show, to have a Whatnot channel. Advertising on your YouTube channel, talking about Whatnot. They're supposed to disclose whether they're getting any money for that or not. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I'm not getting any of that money, and nor do I want it. They are burning a lot of cash. Instead of just talking about Whatnot and what you think they're making through all the sales, all the money that's being spent on Whatnot, take a look at that. They've just had their 4th round, and they've had to get another $4 million. And a lot of people say they're worth 3-point-something billion dollars. Their evaluation was only 260 million. So, it's quite a far away from 3 billion. Total sales going through the, maybe total sales have been 3 billion, but they only have a small percentage of that. And then after paying, and it says that they're up to about 348, probably around 350 employees. Maybe that's grown, but you see what they're burning at conventions. How big the space is that they've taken at the conventions. It's huge. It's really big. The giveaways. Now they've gone into publishing. Now we've talked about this. Publishing, it is very hard to be profitable in publishing. The part of publishing that's profitable right now and has been for a few years now has been the exclusives game. You don't really have to sell out. This is a book you're paying. If you're a shop, and you're not making your own book, you're making, you're getting a DC or a Marvel cover. You're having to, buy 3,000 issues at around cover price. It's about a $7,000, $7,000 to $12,000 investment. But, nobody's selling those books for $4 then, right? They're selling the books for $19.99. Some of them are, you get the virgin version for $49.99. You get the pair for $69.99. You recoup your money really quick at those numbers. But those numbers aren't sustainable. We're going to blow up the hobby doing this crap. This is what happened in the 90s with overprinting, right? They did have some funky covers and some limited editions that weren't really that limited. But when you were printing 1 million of a book, if you had a 10,000 issue run, it was limited back then. We don't think 10,000 is a limited run anymore. And if these people have 3,000 issues, and then they're claiming there's a lot of different claims about there's only 100, there's only 500, when everybody knows Marvel and DC, you have to buy 3,000 issues. So, 500 is the minimum at Image. But you end up having to buy almost 3,000 books through them too, because you have to commit to the next 3 issues. You have to commit to 500 issues. So that doesn't make any sense either. There's always people who aren't interested in the story or are interested in how do I make money on this. This is an art form, right? Comics are an art form. If people started doing, and people have tried, they make prints of like Dali's work or Picasso's work or the Mona Lisa. When you go into the museum, you can get a poster of a lot of the stuff that hangs there. But really, does that become collectible? I mean, now that these guys are died, I know there's print runs of Dali and Picasso that are signed. That's kind of different and usually really limited, probably, under 1,500 runs, with artist proofs and a lot of other different things. Comics are trying to figure out how to be profitable. The model right now is not very profitable. What they found was these exclusives were profitable, and they can blow out the books. Like they sell enough to recoup their money, make some profit, and then they can blow out the rest to some other dealers and have them sell them to their people. I'm interested in exclusives game just out of interest for the Tales from the Flip Side comic shop, because comic shops are doing it. But I'm on the fence now whether I'm actually going to go through with it. I think I would rather just do what was it, Newberry or the people who did the Tick, just to do my own comic, just my own imprint. Make it available to other retailers. Get somebody I know that's a writer, and then have one of my ideas become a comic book. And maybe it doesn't sell any. But look, if I'm going to invest that kind of money, why not? Why not do something I want to do instead of just another one on the, and you're really rolling the dice, And then if you have a failure, then you're scrambling to how do I make that failure? I make my money back on that failure. Ergo, Black Flag and their acetate cover. We're going to get into all kinds of this stuff. I mean, why not? You bring the artist in and he signs 100 hand numbers and signs 100 of them. So then you have 100 of them that are hand signed. And he could have done that because Crane and him, I guess, are Eskimo brothers. So, I'm sure he would have hooked him up with, 100 hand signed, hand numbered. Could have got CGC involved that way instead of this funky acetate, which probably cost you, I don't know, to have them attached correctly and have the acetates printed. It probably cost you even more money. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you made money on it because I heard you started running the price up as it became really popular at that show. Well, congratulations to you. And now people are selling it on Whatnot. Back to the Whatnut. So that's the other thing is that Whatnot is making all these exclusives that are exclusive, but I see thousands of them, and then people they're giving them away every week on every show. And how do you have this many to give away and to sell and to put in mystery things? And here's the thing is that it's an invisible value. It's a value that you've put on it, right? And then I guess, anything's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. That's not really 100% true. The system can be rigged quite a bit. There's a whole psychological part of it where people want to feel like they're part of a community. And, shout out to Thorough, who talks about this is not a community. Well, we have some bad actors in this community. It is a community when it's about the art form and the storytelling and our love for it. And, the conventions when you get to meet these artists who've really touched you in certain ways through their art form. But these bad actors are saying, how can I fill my pockets? Go do something else. You want to fill your pockets? Go do something else. Stop ruining this art form. This is not a snake oil business. This is, all about storytelling. And the major publishers are making a lot of their money. I think Image really doesn't do a lot in the merchandising game. A little bit, but not a lot. What they make a lot of their money on the trade paperbacks. Their deal is on that back end when they go to trades. They're making a higher percentage on the trades. And these phenomenal stories that they have, their back catalog that they can continue, like Invincible. They're going to get a piece of Invincible trade paperbacks for the next 100 years, So that's where their money's at. Now, when you look at Marvel and DC, their trade game isn't great because they've lost that. I mean, really the epic trades. They have a great catalog of some stuff, and they probably do make some money on their trades. But how many people you see wearing an Avengers t-shirt or a Captain America t-shirt? Their licensing and merchandising is making them fortune. They will keep printing, they will keep printing comics till the cows come home for that intellectual property to keep running, where they can keep printing, t-shirts and hats and doing movies and all this stickers. There is Superman and Batman on everything. Lunchbox, backpacks, costumes. They get a piece of absolutely all of that. When they put out an issue of Action Comics, I don't know the exact dollar amount they make, but it's got to be somewhere between 50 cents and $1. That's it. That's per book. And they're not doing that million print run that they used to do. I mean, I don't think DC has a book over 50,000, and if they do, it's right there. It's 50, 51,000. I haven't checked the numbers recently, but they have been constantly falling. A lot of their, I think Batman, a couple of Batman books are going to be around that 50,000 number, and I think everything else is way below that. You think that's a lot of money a month. Let's say they put out 100 books, and, it's like 4 million issues across all their books for the month. I'm just throwing out numbers there. You know what? I'm going to sit down one of these days and actually do the math. Let's say it's 50. They're making $2 million a month. For a corporation, that's nothing, right? To me, you and me, if my shop was making $2 million a month, somebody else would be making these videos for me. A really, really pretty girl that you would all come and watch. I would write the scripts, and I would never have to show up. I'd be somewhere in a foreign country bathing in the sun. But for a major corporation like that, it's really no money. It's a nothing burger, as a lot of people say. From a real business perspective, the hobby has too many hobby salespeople in it. A lot of them I would consider them friends and guys that I respect, but it makes it really hard for the LCSs to make a living when you are out there with no overhead. Probably or maybe not paying taxes. Looking for a way around the eBay, now that eBay is reporting everything. Is Whatnot reporting to the IRS? So if they're not, they're going to have to really soon. And there's going to be a big wake-up call on that. And then everybody will be back on Facebook Marketplace or Mercari, somewhere where you can get cash or Venmo or any one of the other dark ways of receiving money. But, if you're coming and buying from an LCS, and I say that I sell mostly 20 to 30% below market value. There are some books I'm not ready to sell, and I have them probably above market value. And that's only because I believe that they have potential to be a lot higher, and I paid up for them, and I really need to make that higher price out of them. Books are dipping right now, stuff that I paid a lot of money for. They're just going to sit on my shelf at this high price. I'm not going to sell them at the lower value. I'm going to be buying more collections because people are going to be dumping, and I'm going to be buying them at a lower price. And then I'm going to be able to sell them at a lower price. But people the specific reason I sell at a lower price is because I would rather sell out of the store than sell online. It is a lot of extra work. And with all the percentages and stuff, it really, a lot of times, if I double my money, I'm still not making money. Once all the fees are involved, all the packing material, all the time put into putting it online, when you have customers in the store, it's a lot. So yeah, I think I'm going to start doing some live streams. If you're interested in that, please drop some message if you want to be on, talking about what you feel about, how you feel about the comic market. Let's talk about some of our favorite books. What's new out that nobody's talking about, that's not on anybody's top 10, that's really telling a good story. What's out there that, yeah, probably you're not going to, make $1 million on down the road, but you'll probably pick out 5 years from now, you're going to reach back in there and reread that story because it was that good. Let's talk about those things. And, I think one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to run out of money. Whatnot's either going to burn out or blow up. So if they blow up and somebody buys them, they got a chance with Amazon. eBay saw them. And eBay's been buying people. eBay just bought TCG Player. They saw that that they had bought Channel Fireball. They saw that they had a really good market in cards, and they had a smaller return than they were getting through the eBay. They were able to work better with sellers and not be buyer centric. They could, be on both sides. It's now open to comic books. It's going to be open to sports cards soon. And eBay purchased that company because they were on the right path. What did eBay do when they saw Whatnot? They copied it. They may have already had it in the works. Probably a lot of people have been working on this since the pandemic, since people were running their own auctions on Facebook. Hey, if we could put some tools on that. But Whatnot hasn't updated their tools are clunky, and there's bugs on it that have been on it for the last 6 and 8 months. They're just out there pushing buyers and sellers. Let's get buyers and sellers. The app is running. Screw it. It's running. This is what you're getting. That's it. You get a lot more users on there. If there's bugs in it and there's problems, it's going to break. And that'll be even a bigger problem. I heard during New York Comic Con, it's been on a lot of the YouTube channels. A lot of guys have talked about it. When Whatnot went live from New York Comic Con, they had 400 viewers. They say that there's a 0 after that. That it doesn't show for every one, it's actually 10. I don't know how that sounds like a crock of shit to me, but hey, all right, let's give them 4,000. Sure, 4,000. eBay, when they turned theirs on at New York Comic Con, and in like a beta version that it's not even live and anybody using it, but they turned it on for that and had a special sale. They had 17,000 people, 17,000 buyers live. eBay, when they put theirs live, they're going to tank Whatnot. Whatnot's only chance is to get bought by somebody like Amazon, who doesn't have that ability and wants it. I don't even know if Amazon wants to go through all that auction process. And because there's a lot of people that are not such good people, and you sell books, you don't ship them out on time, you don't ship them out at all, you ship out a different book, and I don't know what the return rates are on, because like I said, I didn't go to Whatnot because I hated their business model from the beginning. For me, it's a P.T. Barnum thing. You have to be on. You have to bring your own audience. I'm doing a lot more work than the percentage I'm paying Whatnot, right? And I have a little bit of that feeling with eBay. I sell certain things on eBay. I have gone back on eBay. I did close my store for a long time because of the slowdown. If I could get 1,000 people through, what I really want is 1,000 people through my door every week that spends $10. And the partners in this business would get paid well. We could have amazing collections and just do amazing things in our area. Bringing in movie stars, like little micro mini cons, and that's what I would love to do. I don't get that many people through the door. If I get 300 people through the door a week, it's a really big week. And maybe half of those buy something. The only thing is they're buying higher dollar items. And for me, I don't think that's sustainable. I think that the $10 from collectors to spend to build your collection slowly, and new collectors, and every once in a while splurge a little bit, like that's a sustainable model. You need a lot of readers for that. I'm so jealous of so many guys I met at the retailers convention that they had 200 subscribers in their area. And I was like, oh my God, if I had 200 subscribers, holy moly, they could spend $10 a week and we'd be high on the hog. Absolutely. Screaming business. But we don't. We have to build back to that. We had 50 at one point, and we were headed north from that 50, but we're back, headed towards 20 again. I'm gonna have to do some marketing. to some areas that I hadn't marked into before. They're close enough where people can come out. But yeah, we did have to go back online. I'm hoping that a lot more people find TCG Player for comics, because I don't want to do comics on eBay. It's just really difficult. It's very time consuming, and it really adds to my cost on comics. So yeah, so I think that's a long ass rant on Whatnut, and that's the way I see it. People can say I have sour grapes. I just, from the beginning, I mean, I'm sure I could have signed up in the beginning and gotten in there. Now supposedly they're being picky, but they're sending people that are on YouTube, they're sending them invites. So if they're checking, oh, how are you on eBay? What's your rating on eBay, and doing background checks on people, then how do they know that when they're sending invites to these people on YouTube? And like I said, if they're paying people through other processes, either to their eBay, not paying them either direct cash to be on Whatnot, paying them for appearances to appear for Whatnot, or sponsoring their YouTube channel so they'll continue to be on Whatnot and praise Whatnot. I don't think that's a fair playing field. Call it sour grapes, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, keep reading comics, and go over to Tales from the Flip Side and check out my comics talk. It's Comic Shops Talk.